Now, you all know the Koch brothers are enormous donors to the Republican Party, and they've been doing this for many years now. And they've taken advantage of Citizens United, now McCutcheon, and many other Supreme Court rulings to pour in unlimited money, literally over a series of elections, billions of dollars, to help Republicans get elected so that their industries are not regulated. So if your factories are not regulated, you can pollute more and you'll get away with it, so that they have lower taxes, which saves them billions upon billions of dollars, so that their workers work at minimum wage and can't unionize, and the list goes on and on. Well, it's not just them. They organize a group of other rich donors, and normally we can't see who these guys are because of the laws that were passed and the decisions of the Supreme Court, and it's called dark money. And so the millionaires and the billionaires hide behind these rulings, and they purchase our politicians by giving them millions of dollars. Scott Walker recently went to go talk to Sheldon Adelson as an example. He's the Las Vegas casino magnate that gave hundreds of millions of dollars in 2012 to try to defeat President Obama. And his advisors, we found a note, said to him, ask for $1 million now. Imagine somebody gets $1 million legalized bribe from somebody. You think they're not going to do them favors? And their first request was for $1 million, let alone what they're going to ask for later. So this is the system that we have now. But these guys have gotten so greedy in terms of how they want to attack Democrats and progressive ideas overall, et cetera, that they set up a different part of all their different PACs. That's a super PAC. It's called the Freedom Partners Action Fund. This one can actually say, do not vote for this Democrat and vote for this Republican instead. Now, in order to be able to do that, you actually do have to say who your donors are. So now that fund currently has $25 million that it is spending in this midterm election. Now, which is a giant amount of money for a midterm election for a fund that hasn't even been around that long, right? But as you're going to see, that's actually the tip of the iceberg. But what's interesting is now we know who gave to that fund. So now we go to Politico for an explanation of who those guys are. They explain New York hedge fund billionaire Bob Mercer wrote the largest check, $2.5 million, followed by Charles and David Koch, who each stroked $2 million checks from trusts in their names. Their group received $1 million apiece from Arkansas poultry producer Ronnie Cameron, Wisconsin roofing billionaire Diane Hendricks, and Nebraska trucking magnate Clarence Werner. Now, as you look at the list, I mean, look at these guys. These are literally millionaires and billionaires that are going around going, who shall we buy? Now, the guy who's a trucking magnate in Nebraska, he's giving to elections as far away as North Carolina, Kansas, oftentimes, I'm sure, California, New York, et cetera. But there are swing states now, Louisiana, and all the ones that I mentioned, Kansas and North Carolina jump out as well. And all these states, they're giving money. Why does a guy doing poultry in Arkansas care? Well, why does the roofing guy care? Because, look, they want to protect their advantage. They want to make sure that they keep their tax cuts. They want to make sure that if you buy United States senators, will they serve you in making sure that your industry, no matter where it is, even if it's not in their home state, is not regulated? Well, of course they will. So that's why they're doing this. So when asked, why come out now? I mean, you've already been giving all the secret money behind the scenes. Ronnie Cameron, the Arkansas poultry producer, said, I just felt like it's time to stand up and put my money where my mouth is. Now, that's a great quote because, first of all, you had been giving all along. You just didn't reveal it. This is the first time you're revealing it. So your money had been there all along. You're not putting your money where your mouth is. You're putting your mouth where your money is. And remember, the Supreme Court allowed all of this because of free speech. But what part of this is free? Are you guys poultry magnates and roofing billionaires? And can you go around buying United States senators and congressmen? Of course you can. Only the richest people can. These are our new lords, our new elites, the donor class, the guys who get to decide who you choose among. A lot of times, these rich donors will also give to Democrats in primaries so that they get the right kind of Democrat in office. If the Democrat happened to be the Republican, they want to make sure that that Democrat is still under control, okay? So, ironically, the guys who are controlling our politics through money weren't even talking before. What part of that is free speech? They literally were silent. We didn't know who they were. They hadn't even opened their mouths. This is the first time they are opening their mouths under this context. Okay, but they were writing those checks. Supreme Court says, yeah, that's free speech. Insanity. I mean, look, but they do it on purpose. Oh, I couldn't see the legalized bribes. I don't see the corruption. So Ronnie Cameron also says, to give you a sense of what these guys think, I'm 69 years old. I'm much more concerned that my grandkids could be living under communism or something like it with the type of leadership that we have right now. So the guys who are ruling our government are not even sane. Yeah, look, I don't know if he worked hard to get his fortune or if it was left to him by his daddy. I don't know, okay? And I don't care. I care that he has a lot more control of our government than any of you do. It's supposed to be one person, one vote. We're all supposed to be equal. It's part of the point of democracy. Does it look like we're equal? And look, the guy who is making the decisions for you, who's picking these candidates, he thinks we're almost living under communism. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? And the Koch brothers are classic. Oh my God, communism! What are you talking about? 93% of the gains in 2010 of the so-called economic recovery went to the top 1%. President Obama has maintained Bush's policies. The rich are literally getting richer. You know that the federal poverty rate right now is at a record, 50-year record high. So we're bathed in poverty, right? But Wall Street's recovered. The rich have gotten richer. But that's almost communism, according to our new rulers. Okay, now you think, well, okay, $25 million, they spent a lot. Like I said, tip of the iceberg. That was the Freedom Partners Action Fund. They're under the umbrella of the Freedom Partners Chamber of Commerce. How much has that spent? Just this election, $290 million they have collected and are going to spend. So the donors that we saw are less than 10% of the iceberg we don't see. So there's all the other donors that are giving to in 800 different ways, independent expenditures, etc., but all of it eventually goes to politics. Now, for context, as Politico points out, it's more than the Republican National Committee or the Democratic National Committee spent during the entire 2010 midterm election cycle. So that means now a Koch-led group of millionaires and billionaires is more powerful than the two main parties in the country. So who's in charge? It's not the Republicans. It's not the Democrats. It's the Freedom Partners Chamber of Commerce. A bunch of poultry and roofing billionaires. This is not democracy. It's not what it looks like, okay? Stanley Hubbard is a media mogul. He's among these guys who's donated. He says, quote, "We've never been people who are afraid to say, here's what we believe in." Again, Stanley, that's literally not true. Until you donate to this very specific fund, you were very afraid to say what you believe in. You didn't say it. You gave money in dark money that could not be traced because you didn't want anybody to know it was you who was buying the politicians. So I'm glad that some of you have come out of the closet and told us, yes, we're the guys who make all the decisions. You sit down and you pick among the guys we chose, okay? And all of our money will go to buy all those ads that will deceive you and get our guys into office. But don't tell me that you did it for free speech, because until now, we didn't even know who you were. We never even heard from you. The one thing you didn't use was your speech. Finally, a little twist at the end. Why are they coming out now? That's a little weird, right? Now, one reason is, as I explained, this group, this particular super PAC, can attack Democrats even more clearly and can support Republicans and anti-regulation, anti-taxes people even more clearly. But there's a second reason. And I think you could discern it in Ronnie Cameron's quote here. He said, reading all the stuff, you'd think that it was all the Koch's money. There are hundreds of people like me that are joining what they do. Ah, there you go. Pride. The other millionaires and billionaires, when Harry Reid attacked the Koch brothers, got a little hurt. Wait a minute. I'm buying the politicians too. Why don't I get credit for it? Well, I'm going to come out of the closet here just to tell you, yeah, me too. I'm part of the corruption as well. You know, I'm going to put my mouth where my money is, so you know I'm one of the powerful, so that you know I'm one of your lords and act accordingly. Well, thanks for letting us know. I appreciate that your pride got in the way of your better sense, but at least now we know who you are, and we know who the guys who are causing our corruption are. There's a way to end that corruption. It's called Wolfpack, wolf-pack.com. You get an amendment, and you stop all of these guys from being able to donate to politicians at all. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Imagine if we lived in a country where everybody was actually equal and your vote mattered the same as much as Charles Koch or David Koch or Ronnie Cameron? Right now, that seems unthinkable, doesn't it? Well, of course they have so much more say. They give hundreds of millions of dollars. Of course the politicians are going to do what they want. Remember, in a democracy, the politicians are supposed to do what you want. They're supposed to represent the people. Now it's become a punchline. Get up, get up, get up. It's time to get them back. wolf-pack.com.